Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinker podcast.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Tonight, there are serious concerns among top members of Congress that President Trump isn't willing to punish Vladimir Putin for meddling in the 2016 election.
It's a pretty high level of frustration. We know that the issues concerning Russia have not gotten better.
Senator Ben Cardin, top Democrat on the Foreign Relations Committee, and Republican John McCain are at their wits' end as they prod the Trump White House to move faster to implement sanctions on Russia.
I think it's overdue, and I hope that they will act according to the law.
After Congress overwhelmingly passed new sanctions, President Trump signed them into law, reluctantly, on August 2nd. There were no cameras present. The administration has until early February to put the sanctions completely in place. But the Trump team has missed an October 1st deadline to declare which Russian citizens and businesses will be sanctioned. 10 days ago, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson tried to explain the delay.
We are being very careful to develop the guidance that companies need, because there are business entities that need guidance.
But tonight, a senior White House official blames the State Department for the delay in naming the Russians to be sanctioned, saying the State Department's review of that should have been done by now.
Really?
A State Department spokeswoman tried to explain this week.
From our people who are working on it, they tell me that it's pretty complicated, that it can take some time.
But is that just a deflection? Does the Trump White House have a reason to slow walk the sanctions on Russia? A person close to the administration tells CNN Trump's aides are working to arrange a meeting between the president and Putin at a summit in Asia next month. That concerns Senator Cardin even more.
And I would think the president would want the very strongest possible hands when he talks and meets with Mr. Putin. They're engaged in attacking our country and Europe, our democratic institutions. So it's urgent that Russia understands that we are going to move forward aggressively to protect ourselves. And if we don't do that, it's a green light to Russia to do more of these activities that are against our interest.
You've got Russia.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. So now we learn that, hi, everybody, it's Thursday. The JFK papers are supposed to come out. Get ready for the new conspiracy theories. Get ready for that. You want to hear what I always thought? I mean, not that this was based on any educated anything, because I never read the Warren Commission report, because it's thousands of pages. But it is posted on the RandiRhodesShow.com/homework section for the geeks. It says geeks for geeks, and the whole Warren Commission report is there. However, the conspiracy theories are going to just go through the roof. Here's my. I always thought LBJ did it. I always did. I always thought that the Russians had a reason to want Kennedy dead after the Bay of Pigs and the Cuba Missile Crisis and all this, and that they wanted a base right off of Florida, 90 miles away in Cuba, and blah blah blah. And Kennedy was like adamant about them not doing it and all this, and that what's his face who shot him. Great, everybody. Great. Nobody knows the name of the guy. Yes, Lee Harvey Oswald. That shot Kennedy. He was really a Russian spy, that he had met with Russians, in the embassies in Mexico and other places. And that, he was the killer, and he did it on behalf of Russia, who got the, hey, don't worry, we'll look the other way from LBJ. That's just what I thought. I really have no idea. But okay, so today we figure out that, if Russia did kill Kennedy, and this is the only reason why I bring this up, if Russia killed Kennedy, and if Lee Harvey Oswald was a Russian operative, and Lee Harvey Oswald did indeed go to the Russian embassy in Mexico and had met with Russians, and on behalf of Russia, that they killed our president, that they killed our beloved president, John F. Kennedy, then how is it okay with Donald Trump to be friends with Russia? If they've been doing all this crap to us for all these years, including taking out our president, what in the world is Donald Trump sucking up to Russia for? And then, yesterday we found out that, the Senate and the House had voted and the president had signed reluctantly sanctions on Russia for meddling in our election. These sanctions were directed at certain enterprises that were known to have meddled in the election, like the people that met with, Jared and Junior, like those people. Yeah, and they voted, he signed it, and the president's job is not to make law, as you know. The president's job is to execute the law, and he refuses. He refuses to do the sanctions that were voted in by our House and Senate, which is a Republican majority House, Republican majority Senate, signed by him, his own self. He signed it. And he refuses to execute this law. He doesn't want to put sanctions on Russia. It's just so telling. It's just so interesting. So last night, Richard Blumenthal, the senator, Richard Blumenthal, he had a little discussion about, what he thinks is going on. But what's more important is the president, and this is a good one for you guys, right now, today, October 27th, Thursday, the president has violated the law. That's impeachable. The president violated the law, a law he signed. The deadline for implementing new sanctions on Russia was 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks ago. It was October 1, 2017, October 1. They haven't implemented sanctions on Russia. The president has violated a law that he has no excuse for not knowing. It's not like, nobody's prosecuted, this law, that law. They signed this law. So here's Richard Blumenthal.
So do you buy this line from the White House that it's the State Department that's holding it up? And just a little bit more background. It was passed over the summer by the House of Representatives, 419-3, passed by the Senate, a vote of 98-2, was supposed to be implemented according to the law starting on October 1st. It's the end of October now. They haven't started implementing the law.
I agree completely with my colleagues, Senator Cardin and Senator McCain, and many, many others on both sides of the aisle, that this delay is absolutely inexcusable. There is no reason, none, that the administration has legitimately for failing to meet that deadline. And that failure sends a message to the Russians that is really unconscionable, that we will not enforce our own laws when their interests are at stake. There is really an investigation to be done here, and there is also a need for potential measures by Congress, whether it's holding up nominations or resources. I hesitate to hold up nominations because the State Department needs those diplomatic posts filled, but some action should be taken.
Because there's a lot of speculation. You heard Brian Todd's report that the president is going to be meeting presumably with Putin at the Asian Pacific Economic Conference that's coming up next month. And he didn't want this legislation to be passed to begin with. He saw it was a congressional infringement on his power as the president of the United States. He reluctantly signed it into law. So is it your suspicion he's dragging his feet now because of the meeting with Putin?
Knowing what happened for this legislation to be passed, because I was one of the leaders of it, I know they not only dragged their feet, but they actually opposed it implicitly. And now for him to delay implementation and in effect defy the law, I think is unconscionable. And we will take whatever action we can, hopefully on a bipartisan basis, to pressure and put all of the onus on the administration for this failure to enforce it.
Oh, my God. So you have a president of the United States who's loyal to Russia and Russia's wants, needs, hopes, dreams, and desires, even though the president has actually signed a law into law that requires him to implement sanctions on Russia, actually implement them beginning October 1st, and it's 27 days later, and he has not followed his own law that he signed. I mean, this is impeachable. So if everybody is wondering, will Russia bring him down? Did he collude with her? Well, yes, he colluded with Russia. There's no question he colluded with Russia. You know, we knew this after we found out in June about the June 9th meeting between Junior and Jared and all that. And now we know that Cambridge Analytica, the Mercers, by the way, Steve Bannon, the chief executive officer of the Trump campaign, just prior to him becoming the chief executive officer of the Trump campaign, was the vice president of Cambridge Analytica. So they're saying, oh, we didn't hire Cambridge. Are you kidding me? Really? So Bannon goes from Cambridge and Breitbart. Breitbart invested $10 million in the Breitbart website. Okay. And Steve Bannon's, the vice president over there. And then he goes over to run the Trump campaign. Now, Cambridge, the Mercer family. Okay. This is between the Mercers were the single biggest donor to Ted Cruz first, and then Donald Trump. See, they were Ted Cruz people. Hence, we have Kellyanne Conway, who was the campaign manager for Ted Cruz, now ensconced in the White House. Okay? And you know her level of credibility. We've all experienced her. We use alternate facts, right? Those are her words. Alternate facts. So, of course, they hired Cambridge. And this guy in San Antonio, this little Brad Parscale guy who was tapping people on the shoulder in Barnes and Noble, asking them, "You need a website for $1,500?" Believe me, he did not become the mastermind of this data effort that was engaged in by the Trump campaign with fake news and invading Facebook feeds and all this. Oh no, oh no. In fact, what we learned yesterday was that Cambridge Analytica, their CEO, actually contacted Julian Assange and was asking Julian Assange if he would, provide them with the 30,000 private emails that have never surfaced, because Hillary Clinton's private emails are just that. They are private. And so nobody's ever seen those emails. But there were 30,000 emails that Trump wanted so badly. So Cambridge reaches out to WikiLeaks and says, the DNC hacked emails that you got about Podesta's fabulous recipe for risotto. What we would like is the 30,000 private emails on Hillary's private server. Can you hack those? Give them to us. And by the way, we'd like them in a searchable database. We'd like to be able to search them. The same way that you put out the DNC hacked emails that were hacked by the Russians that were put in a searchable database. We'd like the same format. That's what we learned yesterday. And now they're all saying, oh no, we didn't hire Cambridge. Of course they did. There's money. I mean, they spent $6 million hiring Cambridge. I mean, what do they think? We're like idiots here? We can't look at, contributions or who they hired on the campaign. The Federal Election Commission doesn't know. This is just ridiculous. It's documented that the Trump campaign reached out to Russia. And it's not like they had very far to reach. They came to Trump Tower, number one. Number two, Cambridge was talking to Julian Assange. Roger Stone was tweeting previews of what WikiLeaks was going to uncover. Previews he was tweeting. Because he knew, because he was in touch with WikiLeaks. He keeps saying, oh, I never talked to him, I never talked. And everybody wonders, why does Roger Stone keep saying that he never talked to WikiLeaks? What is the big damn deal? Now you know what the big damn deal is. And here's why it's a big damn deal. Who the hell is WikiLeaks? All right? Who are they in the first place?
Well, let's take a step back and remember what WikiLeaks is, okay? WikiLeaks is a Russian proxy that has stolen classified information from the U.S. government previously and distributed it to the world. That's what WikiLeaks is. And so you then sort of step back into the campaign and remember Donald Trump's statements about encouraging WikiLeaks and how he loves WikiLeaks. He would say it over and over in the campaign. And now you have this data firm reaching out to WikiLeaks for help in acquiring information about Donald Trump's primary opponent, his main opponent. I mean, again, we're talking about a Russian proxy that has stolen classified information from the U.S. government and distributed it previously. That's who the Trump campaign and its affiliates, these are the types of interlocutors they were willing to engage with during the campaign. And it's absolutely unacceptable, and others will decide about the legal ramifications, but it should be politically unacceptable for any campaign to do such a thing.
Trump said he loved WikiLeaks during the campaign 137 times.
WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press.
He loves WikiLeaks. He knows WikiLeaks is Russian. He actually says, Russia, if you're listening, and Cambridge Analytica reaches out to WikiLeaks to get the 30,000 emails on behalf of Donald Trump, okay? They reach out to WikiLeaks, which is a Russian proxy group that continually exposes the United States intelligence. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.